Hello, Harry Cole, the Sun's political editor, here at the Conservative Political Action Conference in Washington, D.C., with a familiar face to people back home, but not necessarily familiar to people in America. Former Prime Minister Liz Truss, why are you here?
I'm here because I want to see conservatism thrive in America and in Britain, and I think we need to get a Republican in the White House, and I want to do all I can to push that message, but also to push conservative values in Britain as well.
You say you want a Republican in the White House. That means Donald Trump, doesn't it?
Well, the race is still not over.
Don't tell the people here. They seem pretty convinced.
I've been very clear that I don't want to get involved in red on red, as it's known here in the US. But I'm very clear we need a Republican in the White House because we need a strong America. You know, we're facing an unprecedented challenge from China, from Russia, from Iran, and we need somebody in the White House who can actually take them on and call them out as the evil empire they are.
In all likelihood, it is going to be Donald Trump. You, as Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom, one of the earliest adopters of a harder stance on Russia over Ukraine, are you not deeply concerned by some of his rhetoric and some of the things he's been saying about having Ukraine sue for peace?
Well, I judge Trump on what he did in office, and he stood up to Vladimir Putin and he supplied weapons and support to Ukraine. And I believe having a strong stance on China, Russia and Iran is the important thing.
Do you think it's helpful for him to be going around saying that he'd encourage Putin to attack NATO members that don't cough up 2%?
As I say, I judge him on what he did in the White House compared to what the Democrats have done in the White House. That's my judgment. And I believe that America was safer and the free world was safer when we had Republicans in the White House.
You're here to sell a book about the last 10 years.
Well done, Harry.
Yeah, I know.
We got onto that.
You're here to sell a book, but you're also here to slightly sort of, redeem your reputation on the world stage. Is that fair?
Well, the book has a purpose. It's called 10 Years to Save the West. And I'm concerned that what we've seen is left-wing ideology be successful. You know, they've successfully put wokery into our schools and campuses. They've successfully pursued net zero to such a massive extent that energy prices are sky high across the free world. And we need to take the left on. So that is what my book is about. It's about if we don't take the left on, the West is doomed. And that's what I want to win the battle of ideas, Harry. I only ever went into politics because I care about changing the country, and I still care about changing the country. That's why I'm here.
Last time you took on the left, or what you see as the sort of deep state you've been talking about while you're here, it didn't go very well.
No, I got trounced by them.
Do you really think it was a civil service full of trans activists, as you said last night, or, a sort of benign forces behind the scenes working against you? Wasn't the reason that you were ousted because the pound went to its record low?
Well, I will go into more details of this very issue in my book, Harry, but the fundamental issue was the economic establishment, and by that I'm talking about the Treasury, the Bank of England, the OBR, but more widely as well, do not want the status quo to change.
So
they are fundamentally happy with a situation in Britain where taxes are high, government spending is high, regulation is high, and we're still closely aligned with the EU. We've still got most of the EU laws on our statute books, and there is a group of organisations and people, and I've described them in all kinds of ways. The M25 bubble, whatever, who do not want things to change, and I think that's a problem because the public are frustrated with that.
You said on the stage in your speech earlier that you wanted a bigger bazooka. Can you understand why people at home might be worried about giving you the bazooka again?
I'm not saying I should have the bazooka. What I'm saying is that we need a conservative movement in Britain who are prepared to unashamedly advocate those policies.
So you're ruling out a return to frontline politics?
I'm an MP. I'm in frontline politics.
Senior frontline politics. Would you like to be Prime Minister again?
I am not saying that at all. What I'm saying, and it's what's always motivated me in my political career, is changing things and the battle of ideas. That's what I care about, Harry.
So 10 years to save the West. How are you going to do it?
Well, first of all, we need to get a Republican in the White House.
Donald Trump.
That is absolutely vital. Whichever person the Republican Party select.
Yeah.
I think we're getting quite close to the conclusion of that, but I'm not going to interfere in internal Republican affairs. But once we've achieved that, what I was saying in my speech is that's not enough.
Yeah.
Things actually have to change on the ground. We have to deal with the administrative state. The US have to deal with their deep state, and we have to deal with ours in Britain to actually deliver those conservative policies. I mean, look at the whole issue of illegal immigration, and the fact it's currently being thwarted through the courts. I think that's a huge problem. People in my Norfolk constituency want illegal immigration stopped, and yet, even though the government wants to do that, it's very difficult because of what's going on.
You need a change of power in the White House. How do you think that it's going for Rishi Sunak back home? He's on 20% in the polls this morning. Do you think it's time for a change of leadership in London?
No, I don't. I don't think the answer, and this is what I'm saying, I don't think the answer to the Conservative Party is personnel. I think it's about conservative policies, but also being able to change, being prepared to change the system and the institutions. The fact is we left too much of the Blair legacy in place, and that is holding us back from delivering real change in Britain. So what I want to see, and this is what Popular Conservatism advocates, is a much bolder manifesto that is actually about changing the system, not just changing the people.
It looks like the Tories are heading into a pretty mammoth defeat. Do you take any responsibility for any of that?
Well, I think that, first of all, I want people to support the Conservative Party because Labour would be a disaster. We saw the terrible scenes in the House of Commons.
Yeah, I was going to get onto those.
In terms of what I did in office, I said earlier, I'm not perfect, but the fact is there was massive resistance to Conservative policies I was putting forward.
Not that resistance from your own side.
Which I still believe, Harry, would have made Britain better off. Yeah. If those policies had been implemented, keeping corporation tax low, getting on with fracking, building more houses, I believe the country would be in a better position now.
So you want the bazooka back?
I want the Conservative policies.
Just on the scenes we saw in and outside the House of Commons last night, you had mobs of protesters threatening people all through central London. What can the government do to cramp down on this? It seems to be getting out of hand.
Well, the police need to do more to take on this appalling extremism that we're seeing and properly crack down on these extreme demonstrators. But I'd also like to see much better protection for MPs.
I think you've got your bodyguards here. It's easy for a former Prime Minister to say, but do you think MPs should have bodyguards?
I definitely think all MPs need more protection. I think it's appalling that 2 MPs have been killed in the past 10 years and that Mike Freer, fantastic MP, has felt obliged to stand down because of his constituency office being attacked. And I think that is appalling, and I think we've got a real issue with democracy. If MPs are being intimidated from doing their jobs, then what kind of democracy have we got in Britain?
Disappointed to see the Speaker of the House of Commons essentially fold to the mob then?
I mean, Lindsay Hoyle has said sorry for what happened, and I accept that. And I don't think the problem is Lindsay Hoyle. I think the problem is MPs do not have enough protection and support, and not enough is being done to crack down on what is a very minority of extremists who want to pursue this agenda.
When's the book out?
April the 16th, Harry.
The second best book so far written about Liz Truss.
It's not about... My book is about the West, your book is about Liz Truss, that's the difference.
Former Prime Minister, soon perhaps one day to be Prime Minister again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.